Now, I love my little model planes, and on my other channel, I'll leave a link up there, you can watch me fly this little guy. I was really attracted to it, the way it's finished with the nice roundels, the markings here on the side and the tail flash. It just adds to the model, and I've been wanting to do something similar for a long time. Having acquired the Ortur LaserMaster 2, I'm going to have a go at print and cut. Here is the sheet that I've created, and we'll show you how to do that right now. In your graphics editor of choice, here I happen to be using Microsoft Publisher. I've just pulled in a bunch of graphics that I found on the interweb and a few bits of clip art, some nice lightning flashes, stars, usual sort of stuff. Being in Spain, a couple of Spanish roundels, the flying tigers, the RAF stuff, a couple of bars, a cartoony plane, American stars and bars, and a particular favourite of mine, the Roadrunner. These images clearly I've mirrored so that they can go on either side of the fuselage. This is my first attempt. I've tried to get as much stuff on here as possible. Only time will tell when it's cut out whether we can put extra stuff nearer to the edge. Let's get that printed out. With our graphics printed out, then now is the time to make the pattern in Lightburn. We'll import our graphic. What we need to achieve here is to trace around each of the elements that are going to be cut. First step in that process will be to right mouse click and trace the image. Now you can mess around with cutoff and threshold in here, but I find it does a reasonable job of it straight off the bat, so we'll just OK that. Now it may appear that nothing has happened. If we switch the image layer off, we can see that here are the outlines that it's created. Let me change that to blue and click away. Now we can see things more clearly. What we will need to do now is to edit this to remove the elements that we don't want to be cut out. First part of that process, once the image is selected again, right mouse click and ungroup it. Now we can go in and delete the elements that we don't need, for example in the centers here. For the tail fin flash, we're going to need to put a box in there. Similarly here, I have the snap to object enabled there, which makes things a lot easier. Go ahead and remove those. You can get the general idea now, is that we go around and remove the parts inside any of the images. This is not too difficult on these basic things. Even with the flying tigers, we can remove those elements very easily. Life gets more complicated down here though, with the Roadrunner and the bull to a certain extent, and our pilot. These are going to need to be traced to complete the outline to be cut. I think I can get away with doing that just once and then mirroring it again and lining it up, but we'll see how that works out. For that process then, first off, remove any of the random elements. Finish that off later. If we turn on now our image, we can see, for example, the dust cloud I'm going to need to trace around. We zoom in on that, select our pencil tool, start near one of the outlines that we already have, and then simply start tracing around. Clearly this is going to take some time. We'll come back once I've completed the task. Time now then to look at the fruits of my labours. Ta-da! I think I did quite well getting round the odd shapes, and the trick of just duplicating them and flipping them has worked pretty well, I think. One little trick I've discovered when tracing these outlines, it's difficult to see when it's showing, but if you switch the output of the image off, it goes into like a grayed out mode, and it's a lot easier to trace images. What else can I tell you? What I elected to do here with the Flying Tigers was to join the eye to the rest of it. Otherwise, cutting out the little eye I didn't think was going to work terribly well. One last thing to do then before moving over to trying to cut it is to put on the registration marks for Lightburn. For some reason on my original the crosshairs didn't come out terribly well. Let me just go to the art library where I've put my crosshair, and I can drag that in over there and paste that for later. Grab this one, let's zoom right in, get that as close as humanly possible. Grab the second one now, and its buddy is down here. That looks pretty close to me. With those marks in place then we can get the paper onto the laser. Before I get too excited and waste possibly a sheet of the expensive sticker paper, I'm just going to print out on ordinary paper a copy and see if we can cut that successfully, and then we'll go for broke. Now in Lightburn on my laptop attached to the Ortur, we can go ahead and try cutting. I've just got the standard paper to test there on the bed. The process then is as follows. We've got our two marker points on here. Let's say that the bottom one is going to be number 1. If I press the laser position and then click on our marker, it'll take us to there or thereabouts. We can then use the jog tool. Let's put the distance down to 5 millimeters just to start. Somewhere there and then down. Okay, now I'm going to reduce the distance right down to 0.1, and it's time to fire up the laser so that we can do this more accurately. So, safety squints on. It's essential to take your time when doing this, but that looks close enough, we'll find out. And now that we're on the place, let's go to our laser tools, print and cut, start wizard, and set the first target position, which we've done there. We can now select our second target and jog to selection. Away she goes, and this should take us fairly close to the mark as well. That again looks close, so we'll set our second target position. Aligned, output scaled, and we can check to see what it looks like with the preview. There's our sheet. Play through that. All looks to be good. Just one final check. My settings 1200 at 75 power. We now go to our laser tab, ready, print and cut, and press go. That's our process ended then, and unfortunately it looks like my piece of paper moved right at the end there. Not quite sure why. I suspect this here, I wasn't watching it. I should look back on the camera. But up to that point things were working well. You can see that it's easy to remove all of our pieces. Our roundels, looks like they were a tiny bit off, but we could trim that up. Our little plane, that's a bit off as well. Our Roadrunner. So as a test, it hasn't done badly. It's worse at the bottom of the page. Registration was obviously off. I have to pay more attention to that next time when I do it for real. And a little bull. But even like that, I think we could rescue some things. Appears here that I forgot to stop it cutting in the middle of those roundels. Go back and edit that. I'll get it set up for the proper paper and we shall resume. Let's go over a couple of things that I learned in the last clip. Not having the paper secured down was a pretty dumb thing. Could have moved around at any time. So I've now secured that with magnets top and bottom. I couldn't see the reference points very easily. I've gone over them in pen now. It was difficult when the laser was on to see where it actually was within the circle. I neglected to mention the paper that I'm using, and it's this from Photo Paper Direct, and I'll leave a link down in the description. Inkjet gloss self-adhesive paper, 120 grams per square meter. It also has instructions on the back for setting up with the most popular printers. As you can see, it came out pretty well. I've gone ahead and done some test cuts on this paper. Obviously it's a lot heavier. After some experimentation, I've come up with 700 millimeters per minute at 85% power, a single pass, and that appears to be going through just the top layer. I'm going to do one final trial cut over here, and we'll see how that works. Safety squints on. There we are, nice and quick. Oh, nearly clipped the edge of the roundel there, that wasn't too clever. Never mind. Now, if we, the scalpel here, I think I can carefully get under here, end there. And as you see, that comes straight away without having gone through the backing paper. More by luck than judgment, I can assure you. With that out of the way then, let's go back and register with the print and cut and see if we can get a better result this time. Interesting to note here, it's almost perfectly aligned on this side of the page. On the other side it's quite a way out. I've got some investigating to do, but on the whole I'm very pleased with the result. Let's see if we can stick something on a plane. This then is my cheetah model, twin EDF, and you can see how quick she is. Little video up there. An ideal candidate then for our Roadrunner, I thought. Let's see if we can get our Roadrunner off of the sheet. Okay, this one may not be registered exactly, but from a distance it'll be fine. Be careful around the neck here, it's very thin. So far so good. It is clearly very sticky. See if we can put it in a almost taking off type attitude. Nothing gets thrown away in this house. Old socks often come in useful. And the face there just wrapping around the edge of the tail. Burnish that down with my fingernail. Now I've no idea, here in Spain the sun is obviously very strong, but I don't leave the model out in it. Clearly being foam, it would not last very long. I guess we could put some clear coat or something over the top of it. For the moment I'm going to leave it au natural. Came away quite well. I can just see the edge of the head coming round the side there. I'll try and match that. I'm guessing it'll be something like that. The chances of chances of being able to see both sides at the same time, I guess, are somewhat remote. I don't know about you, but that works for me. Awesome. If you have any comments and things that I can improve, then please leave them down in the comments section below. And many thanks for watching.